Hey guys. So recently I did a video just talking about all the strongest bossing weapons, just like in terms of pure DPS, damage per second. Uh, that's basically what that was. I don't think I might have actually said it was bossing or not, but yeah, it was just pure DPS, best things for bossing. This is kind of a follow up on that, which is the best weapons in my opinion for mob damage, which is just taking out the big clusters, not actually dealing any single target damage because there's two very different things. um, so yeah, so you want to have one of the mobbing weapons. You don't really need a pistol in the end. They're helpful early on. If you get a really good pistol later on, then they're good to have. But other than that, you just want two primaries. It makes it easier. Yeah. Less thinking involved. And yeah, you want one mobbing weapon just for taking out all of the groups, and then one bossing weapon to swap to when you need to do a lot of damage to a single target. That's the type of real loadout you really want to have. Or you can mix it up and have like two bossing weapons. I wouldn't recommend two mobbing weapons, that wouldn't work well. But you could have two bossing weapons, or you could have like a multi-purpose one. Um, for example, the sublight is a good multi-purpose one. But anyway, we'll just get started here. First off, I just want to note that I did put it in the description. I said in that video that the Hornet was the worst of all of them. That was because it was semi-auto, so it would have been excluded from the update, which would because that update, as you probably know by now, made it so that you can only overclock full auto items except for the rear 50, which let me just check if I have one. I think I might. Probably on my heavy. Rear 50. Here we go. Overclock. You can still overclock the rear 50, and I do not have one, but you can also overclock the strike force, which is the rear shotgun, which also does fire damage. Okay, so other than those two, and I think a couple pistols, maybe. Actually, no, I don't. But yeah, you can't overclock those anymore. The Hornet was changed to full auto. I don't know if I don't know when they realized that exactly, but yeah, it was changed to full auto with that patch. So I'm very glad that happened. Yeah. So the Hornet is still very good. It is right up there, just below the shock field for the best DPS. So anyway, onto the actual mobbing weapons. Uh, so the general rule you want to go with for mobbing weapons is that you don't want something that is accurate, kind of, in a way. For example, a Hornet, it is very accurate. It fires like this tiny little stream, which is great for hitting a boss, but it just you have to really like throw the cursor around and to if you want to try and hit a large group because it since its aim is so accurate, it is not good at hitting a group. So, for example, a stripper or a shock field, are shotguns, so they shoot out in a spread, and that spread is much better at hitting a group, which is what makes them a better option for mobbing than a Hornet, for example. Um, I haven't really ranked these in terms of DPS or anything because, honestly, in my opinion, DPS is really irrelevant when it comes to destroying a mob. It's it's not completely irrelevant, but it's a lot more complicated than just dealing a lot of damage quickly. Um, you really the most important factors when it comes to mob damage, in my opinion, are attack speed, because honestly, it doesn't matter how powerful your gun is. If you shoot once every 10 seconds, it's going to be completely useless for doing mob damage. So yeah, attack speed, your rate of fire, and coverage, which includes like for example, um, well, a rocket launcher. I think I've got a few at the back here. A rocket launcher, they have AoE, so they have good coverage, or another example, a Trailblazer or a Gigavolt, they have that arcing attack, which is good coverage as well. So it's mainly your attack speed and your coverage. That's all it really matters. You do need to have some degree of damage because even if you're hitting everything, if you do no damage, then it's pretty useless anyway. So there is a point where too little damage is not good. But other than that, yeah. Okay. So that's really what you want to focus on. So I'll get straight into the actual guns that I would consider mobbing guns, which I have on this character. Um, there's probably some good ones early on, but they don't drop anymore, and I haven't bothered to keep them because they're pretty useless. So firstly we got our Trailblazer here. Um, if you have like a legacy Trailblazer with overclocked on it, then that'd be probably pretty beast. But uh, otherwise, a Trailblazer, I personally I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't really bother with that, but I mean it does have the potential because it is a good arcing weapon. It has pretty fast reloads, as you can see. 1.7 seconds is not that bad reload time. It has no real movement modifier, which another good factor there. Yeah, you don't want a gun which is too heavy. It's not really as big a deal as the attack speed and the coverage, but it's still a factor. So yeah, no real movement modifier, fast reloads. It's got decent rate of fire. It's got that arcing attack. The Trailblazer, if you have a perfect one, then I would definitely hold on to it. It'd be something very nice to have. But if you want to get that type of attack, I would recommend using a Gigavolt. A Gigavolt, it is a lot easier to get a perfect version than it is a Trailblazer, so you'll probably get one of these first, which is really good. I mean, this is the third 10-3 one that I've maxed out. My first one came with skeletonized, my second one came with adaptive, and this one I got overclocked and piercing. Uh, so this is a great weapon here. Your first pick is probably, I mean, piercing is an awesome thing on this. I would recommend getting these three in mostly your overclocked and piercing, probably the best ones here. Deadly is the best for getting the pure DPS on any gun, but as this is being used for AoE, you want that piercing and overclocked for huge coverage. But if you're dealing a lot of damage anyway, then I would go for the piercing before deadly. But if you're a medic or a heavy, then I would probably go deadly before piercing, just because they don't really have the damage potential an assault has. But I haven't actually found a perfect gigavolt on my medic or heavy yet, so I couldn't say. I have a good one. I got like a 10-2 one on my medic, but haven't found that 10-3 one yet. So that's my personal favorite choice. Probably because I have not found uh, on this character a perfect MPG. I have on my medic found a great one, and I'll just go over him now, show that off, which he's been using. This MPG. This is an amazing gun. It only has 2 bullets in the clip, but what you do, you pair that with race modded. That is pretty much your number one choice. You want race modded. That is the number one org. If it only had one org, I would get race modded on it most likely, just because another factor of mobbing, it comes to do with your rate of fire thing. You want to be hitting more often, so you can actually hit that mob more often. You don't just want to get the pure damage. So race modded, that lets you hit it more often. You can't get overclocked on this anymore, but if you have a legacy one with overclocked, then that'd be fantastic. But I do not have that. I have one race modded and skeletonized. It's probably not the best org. It came pre-modded on this, but it's not that bad to be honest. I mean, 13.5% extra speed, pretty decent. And considering that I couldn't get overclocked on this anyway, as it's after the patch, then I don't know what I really would have chosen other than that anyway. Probably adaptive or what's the other one? Or blast radius, because blast radius does come in very handy. Although it's only like 25% increase in size. Although that does increase the area a lot more since it's increases the area, not just the set value, whatever. If that makes any sense. So this one you can just shoot out rockets if you have enough fast enough reload. So I'll just jump in here now quickly. I'm not gonna actually finish the mission, but we'll just quickly load this up, and we will, once it finishes building, just show you how fast this guy can attack with it. Here we go. One thing you do have to take into account with this MPG is that it's very expensive. So, as you can see, the fact that it's got two bullets in the clip does not really bother me that much. I can just, yeah, I can just keep shooting, basically. It is possible to actually, I wouldn't recommend it, but it is possible to get your reload speed faster than the rate of fire on this gun, which I think would be hilarious. Because your last bullet from the clip would literally be closer to the first bullet from your next clip than it would be to the first bullet from the current clip. Which, yeah, I just think that'd be hilarious. So, as you can see, it comes with a base reload time of 2, which is actually quite good as it is, and you can take 0.88 off it, which, when you combine with like 12 points in faster reload and give yourself some Titan gloves with nimble, that's a pretty fast reload right there. That's pretty awesome. So that's probably a 1 or a 2. Um, depending on how good your MPG is, it could be better than the Gigavolt. But I love, like personally, I love the Gigavolt just for its accuracy. I would recommend if you got like a overclocked one of these, that'd be fantastic for an assault. But I mean, my personal preference is the Gigavolt for the assault, just because you have so much damage that the accuracy of the Gigavolt is, it seems to be more beneficial. Because I mean, this thing has good AOE, but Gigavolt just arcs around, very handy. And it has a bit less movement mod, though you can skeletonize this and really negate that completely, and even go faster. You can't really afford to skeletonize a Gigavolt anymore. um, So we've got another one, Shockfield. Shockfield is pretty much an amazing gun. Same deal as this guy here. It's got really low clip size, but you can reduce the reload time a fair bit as well. So that really makes up for that. I really want to get one of these race modded. Uh, so with the Shockfield, it's a great bossing weapon. For like, it can potentially be the most powerful bossing weapon in the game. If you just gotta get your reload speed fast enough and get right in close with it, and then you've got that tons of damage right there. But it's also great for mobbing for the reasons that it's a shotgun, so it shoots in that arc spread. It's great at hitting things. This is a very good multi-purpose gun, and it's also got great speed, perfect speed. There is no other primary gun in the game that gives you that fast movement, so definitely a top choice there if you can get a good one of these. um, Not really too much to say there, other than yeah, you really want to max out your reload speed if you want to make use of this. Also, getting clip size would be pretty handy too. You can't get overclocked on it anymore, so the augs I'd really recommend for that would probably be Deadly, just because it's a bossing gun. It is a mobbing gun, but I mean it's one of those ones. And along with that, race modded would be my probably number 2 choice. It'd be right up there though. And for third choice, maybe even get capacity. I mean, capacity combined with race modded, you could get so many shots out with that so fast. It'd be great. But if you got fast enough reload speed, maybe you don't want capacity. You could go with something like adaptive, or you don't really need pierce on this. I mean, you can hit 40 targets with one shot, so um, something like that anyway. It's got like a piece of 3. Well, I thought it was 4. Anyway, still amazing though. um, Only problem with this guy is that it does what is it, energy damage, which Wickers are resistant to. So when you hit level 83, you can't really use it as a main bossing weapon, unless you're like, I think I could probably go with this guy. Hey, I'm 1 level off that anyway. Um, so yes, another multi-purpose choice here is the Sublight, which is kind of iffy. It's it's got this problem that it does not have the good coverage that you get from any of those other ones. It has a very accurate attack, which is more like a bossing attack, but it does have good pierce and very good damage on it as well. And it's got a kind of decent rate of fire. It's not amazing, but I mean you can overclock it up to 10, so that makes it not too bad. I got a really good one of these on my assault actually. This guy here. So the only problem is that you have to line the zombies up. You can't just run straight through them and expect to hit everything around you. So there is a bit of work involved in this one, but it is also still a pretty fine choice. Um, yeah, not really too much to say other than that. For your orgs, you definitely want Deadly and Overclocked, as this is a pretty powerful weapon. If you're going to use it mainly for mobbing, probably go the Overclocked first. For the third org, well, not too sure here. I mean, let's just quickly check that out. Reload time 3 seconds. So yeah, it might be good to get you some race modded on here, or if not that, then you could potentially get pinpoint if you want to go for damage on it. I probably wouldn't bother with that. Piercing would not be good. I wouldn't recommend that. You've got 7 pierce. You're very rarely going to hit more than 7 zombies with an accurate gun like this, which just shoots in a line. Uh, Overclocking up to 14, you just would never hit that 14. Adaptive would be a decent choice for just mobbing because, I mean, you're always going to find some chitness hide every now and then, and that would tear right through that with the damage of this thing. Uh, you could even use biosynthesis as well, to be honest. I mean, with that third org, it's really open. There's no real number one choice. You could like skeletonized biosynthesis, both very viable still. Having skeletonized on this actually, that could potentially be very good because with this gun, since it does require you to do more work in lining stuff up, so you can actually get those 7 PS ineffective or in effect. I mean, because that's the real strength here. This thing is not going to be good for mobbing unless you actually get that those columns coming up, so you can get the pierce going through them. So it'll be decent. I mean, but yeah, you really do want to line them up. So getting skeletonized to reduce that movement penalty, you get like something like 15 extra movement speed back, something like that. I think that'd be pretty decent. Because I mean, unless you're like a really speedy character anyway, but even then, having just that little bit extra speed, so you can just back off and line stuff up, then run forward and make up for that time you lost backing off, that'd really all add up in the end. It'd be pretty decent. So yeah. So Stripper here. Stripper is one. It's a bossing weapon, hands down. That is its job. But as a shotgun, it is kind of effective against a mob. Only problem is its main source of damage is from dot damage, so you're not. Yeah, that's. I wouldn't recommend a heavily dot focused weapon like this for mobbing. It's not really a wise career choice. If you need to take out something within a mob that has a lot of health, then switching to this would do great. But the problem here is that you be shooting stuff and then it takes like a second or two for them to die, which isn't a problem when you're attacking something powerful because you're not going to one-shot it anyway. But if you're attacking something weak that you would one-shot with a weak gun, then there's not really much point to kill it in like 3 seconds with a really powerful gun. So yeah, I wouldn't really recommend this, but it has its place, I guess, is what you could say. It really depends on what kind of loadout you are running. I think I've covered most stuff here. The flame, same deal here. It's actually not that bad, but since it deals its damage over 2 seconds here, it's not really that good at mobbing, unfortunately. Uh, so I've got a Supermarine now. I haven't actually tested Supermarine out because I just have not built a character around using LMGs late game. But I do think that this would have good potential with the right kind of build. Um, and the problem is, as before, it is an accurate gun, but it hits 15 times a second. So if you double that, you get your 30 hits a second. That many hits a second is very valuable for mobbing damage. You'll be able to just move your cursor in an arc, and at that attack speed, it wouldn't really matter that it's so accurate because you'd be hitting this line out anyway. And let's see, it's got 2 PS, which could be better, but if you have piercing on it, which mine came with, then that wouldn't be too bad, I guess. But wouldn't really like piercing myself, but hey, that's how it rolled. Another benefit to this is that it has very little movement speed for an LMG. It's That'd be very helpful. It's always nice to have that minimal move speed reduction. Also has very high clip size. Um, this one, yeah, definitely get overclocked. Also, overclocked, awesome. You probably would want to get deadly as well, and you could get piercing to get it more than 2 PS, because 2 PS you will hit that quite often. Getting up to 4 PS, that'd be pretty decent. But there is other options. I mean, at 30 bullets a second, your clip size will last a while, so there wouldn't really be too much of a need to increase your clip size or get race mode or anything. But you could always get adaptive to cut through that jitness hide or pinpoint to get like think 25% extra damage now if you got max crit. Um, um, I wouldn't really recommend skeletonized, but I mean, if it comes with it, then it wouldn't be too useless, I guess. Biosynthesis, another potential here for the third org. Um, Probably go with adaptive or pinpoint for the third one though. I wouldn't really bother with race motor capacity for something like this. Hard Fawn. I've not used this since a long time. I wouldn't recommend really using this one, but if you want a full auto shotgun, it's not a bad choice for mobbing to be honest, but it's just I have better options now. But Hard Fawn itself, I mean, it's full auto. It has nice spread. It's not that bad for hitting a mob, just because of it being a that spread damage there. Shoots 5 per shot. We've got CM505. Since this has like 3 pierce, it's pretty good. This is probably my favorite LMG, other than the movement speed reduction. Uh, Probably like the Supermarine for a lot less movement speed reduction, but this one's still a beauty. It's definitely up there as one of my favorite guns, even though I don't really use it too much. Haven't really used on this character. Um, but yeah, it's got the same deal here. It's got quite a high rate of fire, so even though it's accurate, you can still hit a lot of mobs with it pretty well. Um, there are Feldhalberts here. Feldhalberts. This one, I used it actually a fair bit early on. It's not that bad a choice, to be honest. I mean, only problem is it attacks really slowly, which is quite unfortunate. You can only overclock it up to like 2, which, like, 2 shots per second. It's, if you use it right, then they'll be alright, I guess. But the fact that it attacks so slow, when you're using this as a moving weapon, that rate of fire can kill you. Just not being able to hit something at the wrong moment, runner rushes up, grabs you in the stomach, tears out all of your organs except that it doesn't happen. You just die. So yeah, but it does do good damage, and here it has the highest blast radius in the game that I'm aware of, at least. 3 meter blast radius, and it's a huge thing there. That's pretty awesome. I think that if you enlarge it, it goes up to 3.75, which not really that exciting. I wouldn't really recommend increasing that blast radius really, just because I mean, there's not really too much point. But you can get yourself some deadly, you can get yourself some overclocked, and probably get skeletonized because that's a pretty huge movement speed reduction right there. um, but as always, there's a lot of choices for that third one. It depends on how you're going. Jagged Force, that is too expensive to ever consider. Don't. Um, and we got this one, full auto rocket launcher, which is kind of essentially, it sounds like it'd be an amazing mobbing weapon, but it's not. Unfortunately, it is not. It's got a decent rate of fire. It's not that amazing. Still something that can kill you if slow. Yeah, the blast radius just isn't that amazing. It's it's iffy, but the gun itself, while it sounds like full auto rocket launcher, that sounds pretty awesome. It is not in practice that awesome. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all of them covered. Uh, just checking for here. Oh, Mustang actually. This little pistol here, I think it shoots like 12 bullets in a single shot. So if you max out your race motor in here, get that reload speed down to 0.9 seconds, and then you combine it with like high reload speed and all your other gear, you can just blast away at this and shoot out so many bullets. If you can get a good Mustang, hold on to that thing. That's awesome. I wish I could get a great Mustang. I really want a 1031, but I have not been able to get that lucky, so that's very unfortunate for me. And we've got a Phantom here, which I guess, given its rate of fire, it could be good early on. It's not really a good end game choice though, because like low pierce, even if you like pierce that up to 2 pierce, that's 2 pierce isn't that amazing either. At this rate of fire though, almost 40 shots a second, it would be pretty decent still. It'd have its purpose, but it's not really an end game thing in my opinion. Um, And I'll just double check on my heavy here. I don't think he's got anything, but nah. Yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say. So my personal number one choice for the assault, it would be the Gigavolt. For a medic or heavy, probably the MPG. As long as you get a good one. This one here is not that good, but you don't really. If you yeah, definitely want to get race modded on your MPG if you do get one. So yeah, probably Gigavolt or MPG. Those would be my number one choices for just a mauling weapon. If you want probably a second place, I would go Shock Field for the movement mod and just the raw damage of it because it can be used for multi-purpose very easily. And probably the Sublight would be up there as well. I don't know if it'd be my third place, but yeah, probably around there. Just because it's another multi-purpose one. Pretty handy. It got buffed recently, so it's quite powerful now. Um, and yeah, even though if the only real problem with it is that it's accurate and doesn't really shoot that fast, so you gotta really work yourself to get it the maximum efficiency out of it. Though yeah, it's still good even if you don't really do that too hard. Okay, so yeah, hope you guys found this helpful, and I'll see you around.